My friend, there comes a moment in every believer's life when it feels as though heaven has gone silent. You've prayed, you've waited, you've believed, and yet nothing seems to change. The dream you once carried in your heart feels distant, almost impossible. The promise God gave you looks buried under disappointment, delay, and doubt. But I want you to know this truth deep in your spirit today. God is about to turn the impossible into your reality. You may not see it yet, but faith was never about seeing. Faith is about believing when there's no evidence, trusting when there's no sign, and praising when there's no progress. Faith is when you stand in the middle of the storm and declare, "My God is still in control." Faith is when the doctor gives you no hope, but you still whisper, "I believe in the report of the Lord." Faith is when your bank account says empty, but your heart says, "My cup runs over." Faith doesn't deny the facts, it declares that God is greater than the facts. The problem with many of us is that we look at our situation through the lens of human logic. We try to figure out how God will do it, when He will do it, and through whom He will do it, but God doesn't need to explain Himself to anyone. When He decides to bless you, He doesn't need permission, He doesn't need resources, and He doesn't need approval. The same God who spoke the universe into existence with one word can speak a miracle into your life today. Sometimes God will wait until everything around you collapses before He steps in. Not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to see His glory . When you reach the end of yourself, that's when you reach the beginning of His power. When Abraham was too old and Sarah's womb was dead, God said, "Now I will give you a son." When Israel stood trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, God said, "Now I will make a way." When Daniel was surrounded by lions, God said, "Now I will show my protection." And when Jesus was lying lifeless in the tomb, God said, "Now I will reveal resurrection power." The same God who turned impossibility into testimony for them is the same God who is about to do it for you. Your situation may look final, but God never writes the last chapter until His promise is fulfilled. You may feel delayed, but you are not denied. What you thought was the end is just the setup for a divine beginning. God often allows your faith to be tested so that your miracle can be perfected. The deeper the pain, the greater the purpose. The longer the waiting, the more powerful the blessing that's coming. Don't let fear speak louder than faith. The enemy wants you to give up right before the breakthrough. He knows that if you keep standing, if you keep believing, if you keep praying, the very thing he tried to block will become the evidence of God's power in your life. Every closed door, every delay, every disappointment, it's not punishment, it's preparation. God is aligning people, positioning resources, and orchestrating circumstances in your favor, even when you cannot see it. Right now, in the unseen realm, something is moving. Angels are being dispatched. Opportunities are being arranged. Hearts are being softened. You are closer than you think. The impossible is not a wall. It's a doorway to the miraculous. Don't focus on what hasn't happened. Focus on the one who promised it would. The same voice that said, "Let there be light," is about to speak light into your darkness. So lift your head, child of God, wipe away your tears, stand firm in faith, because the God who never fails is about to turn your impossibility into reality. What you've prayed for, what you've dreamed of, what you've waited for, it's not lost. It's simply being prepared for the perfect moment. And when that moment comes, no man, no demon, no circumstance will be able to stop it. God is faithful, and His word never returns void. Hold on. Your miracle is already in motion. Sometimes God will let you come to the end of yourself so that you can finally discover who He truly is. You see, when everything is going well, when life feels easy and comfortable, we often think we are in control. But when the storms rise, when our strength runs out, and when the ground beneath us starts to shake, that's when we realize that it was never our power holding us up. It was God's grace all along. There's a reason the darkest nights come before the dawn. It's because God often does His greatest work when it looks like everything is falling apart. When you are down to nothing, that's when God is up to something. You may not feel it, you may not see it, but behind the scenes, heaven is moving on your behalf. Think of Abraham. His body was as good as dead, Sarah's womb was barren, yet God waited until every natural possibility was gone before fulfilling His promise. Why? Because He wanted Abraham to know that the miracle came not from human effort, but from divine power. When Moses stood before the Red Sea, trapped between water and an army, there was no way out. But in that impossible moment, God made a way where there was no way. Daniel slept peacefully in the lion's den because he knew something the king didn't, that his life was in God's hands, not in the jaws of lions. And when Jesus lay in the tomb, the world thought it was over, but even death could not stop God's plan. Every story of victory begins with a season of impossibility. God will often allow you to face what looks hopeless, so that your faith can grow roots deep enough to withstand any storm. The truth is, if you never faced pressure, you'd never know His power. If you never faced loss, you'd never know His comfort. If you never faced delay, you'd never know His perfect timing. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are being refined like gold in the fire, and when you come out, you won't just survive, you will shine. So don't despise the hard season you're in. That trial, that waiting, that pain, it's not in vain. God is working in ways you can't see. Sometimes He allows what looks like a breakdown because it's really a breakthrough in disguise. The pit that Joseph was thrown into wasn't his end. It was the beginning of his journey to the palace. The cross that looked like defeat became the symbol of eternal victory. What the enemy meant for evil, God is already turning for your good. When everything seems impossible, don't focus on the mountain. Focus on the one who can move it. Don't focus on the closed door. Focus on the God who has the master key. When you feel surrounded by problems, lift your eyes and remember that you're also surrounded by the presence of God. Nothing that comes against you can stand against the one who lives within you. The same hands that hold the universe are holding your life right now. The same voice that calmed the storm can calm your anxious heart. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is the power working inside you today. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, you are not finished. God sees your tears, He hears your prayers, and He has not abandoned His promise. Hold on, even when it hurts. Keep believing, even when you don't understand. Keep walking, even when you don't know the way. Because right at the moment when you think you can't go on, that's often when God steps in. The midnight hour is when He performs His greatest miracles. The moment you feel like giving up is often the very moment the breakthrough is about to happen. So lift your eyes in faith. Tell your heart God is still working. You might be in the fire, but the fourth man is in there with you. You might be surrounded, but heaven is surrounding what surrounds you. Don't let fear write your story when faith is still speaking. The God who started the good work in you will finish it in glory. He is not late, He is not silent, and He is not done. He's about to turn your nothing into something, your sorrow into strength, and your impossibility into undeniable reality. Before the miracle ever manifests in your life, it first has to take root. Inside your heart, everything God does begins in the invisible before it appears in the visible. The world says, I'll believe it when I see it, but God says, you'll see it when you believe it. Faith is not waiting for evidence, it is the evidence. It is the conviction deep within your spirit that what God promised is already yours, even if your hands are still empty. The moment you believe, heaven begins to move. The moment you see it with the eyes of faith, God begins to shape it into your reality. Many people pray for miracles but never prepare for them in their minds. They want change, yet they continue to think in limitation. But God cannot release into your life what you don't believe He can give. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and impossibility, then your words will echo defeat, and your faith will have no foundation. But if your mind is filled with vision, hope, and confidence in God's promises, then your spirit becomes a fertile ground where miracles can grow. The battle for your breakthrough doesn't begin in your circumstances. It begins in your thoughts. What you allow in your mind will shape what you experience in your life. That's why the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you keep seeing yourself as broken, unworthy, or forgotten, you'll live like it. But if you see yourself as chosen, loved, and destined by God, you'll begin to walk like it. Vision is the womb of faith. It carries the promise until it is born into reality. Before David ever defeated Goliath, he already saw victory in his spirit. Before Noah built the ark, he saw the flood that no one else believed would come. Before the woman with the issue of blood touched Jesus' garment, she already saw herself healed. Before Jesus raised Lazarus, he said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." He gave thanks before the miracle happened because he saw the outcome before the evidence. You have to learn to close your physical eyes and open your spiritual ones. Don't see your life through the lens of what is. See it through the lens of what God said. You may not have the job yet, but see yourself working in the place God prepared for you. You may not be healed yet, but see yourself walking in divine health. You may not have the house yet, but see yourself living in the home you've prayed for. You may not have the breakthrough yet, but see yourself walking in freedom. When you see it, you're not pretending. It's not imagination, it's revelation. You are simply aligning your vision with God's promise. The reason many people lose faith is because they focus on what's visible, but the visible world is temporary. It's the invisible world that's eternal. When you look around, you may see obstacles, but when you look up, you'll see opportunity. God is not asking you to understand how He'll do it. He's asking you to believe that He will. Faith sees beyond the natural. It sees into the supernatural. It looks at a closed door and says, God can open this. It looks at an empty table and says, God can provide. It looks at a broken heart and says, God can heal this. When your vision aligns with His word, your reality begins to shift. Faith attracts what it expects. If you expect failure, you'll find it. If you expect disappointment, it will come. But if you expect favor, if you expect healing, if you expect victory, heaven responds to your expectation. You have to speak it until you see it. Believe it until you become it, and thank God before you hold it. Don't wait until the miracle arrives to celebrate. Start praising God now. Your praise is a declaration of faith. It tells the enemy, I already know how this ends. Every time you worship through your waiting, you water the seed of faith inside you. So lift your eyes from what's around you and look at what's within you. The dream, the vision, the promise, it's not dead. It's growing. And soon, what was once only in your imagination will become your manifestation. God will bring to life the very thing you dared to believe for, because faith sees the invisible, believes the impossible, and receives the miraculous. The enemy always attacks the hardest when you are closest to your breakthrough. He knows that if you endure just a little longer, if you keep believing just a little deeper, you will step into a season that He can no longer touch. That's why the pressure feels unbearable. That's why the opposition suddenly increases. That's why the voices of doubt grow louder right before your miracle manifests. The closer you get to your promise, the more intense the battle becomes. But hear me, asterisk asterisk, you cannot give up now. Asterisk asterisk, you are standing on the edge of something divine. Heaven is aligning things in your favor, even when it looks like everything is falling apart. Delay does not mean denial. God's timing is not your timing, and His ways are higher than your ways. What seems like a pause to you is actually a preparation to Him. God is not withholding your blessing, He is perfecting it. He is shaping you, strengthening you, and refining your character, so that when the miracle comes, you will have the wisdom and maturity to sustain it. Many people want the promise, but not the process, yet it is the process that equips you for the promise. If Joseph had gone from the pit to the palace without the prison, he would not have had the wisdom to rule. If David had gone from the shepherd's field straight to the throne, he would not have developed the heart to lead God's people. Every delay has purpose, every setback has significance, and every test has teaching. There will be moments when you will ask God, "Where are you?" and heaven seems silent. You'll look around and wonder if the promises you heard were ever real. But don't mistake silence for absence. God is never still. He is always working, even when you cannot trace Him. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there isn't momentum. He is positioning people, shifting circumstances, and orchestrating divine timing. Sometimes the delay isn't because God isn't ready. It's because the people and places connected to your miracle aren't ready yet. You might be in a waiting season, but that doesn't mean you're in a wasted one. God uses waiting rooms to build warriors. The waiting develops your faith, purifies your motives, and deepens your trust. Waiting teaches you to depend on Him rather than on your own strength. Every great story in Scripture involved a waiting season. Abraham waited for Isaac. Joseph waited for his release. David waited for the crown. And even Jesus waited for the appointed hour of His resurrection. You're not being forgotten. You're being fashioned for greatness. When the enemy whispers, "It's over," respond with faith. It's not over until God says it's over. Keep praising in the middle of the pain. Keep praying when it feels pointless. Keep believing even when you don't understand. Faith is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven when you have every reason to quit, yet you still say, "I trust you, Lord." Every tear you've cried, every night you've spent wondering when your season will change, has not gone unnoticed. Heaven collects every tear, and each one becomes a seed of victory waiting to bloom. You are closer than you think. The night may feel long, but morning always comes. The valley may feel endless, but there's a mountain top ahead. God never begins something He doesn't plan to finish. The same power that started the promise in your life will be the power that brings it to completion. The breakthrough you've been praying for might already be one act of obedience away, one prayer away, one more moment of perseverance away. So don't quit now. Don't let exhaustion rob you of what endurance can win. You have come too far to give up here. The seed has already been planted, and the harvest is near. The pain you're feeling is not the pain of defeat. It's the pain of birthing something new. God is about to turn what was delayed into divine acceleration. What took years will happen in moments. What looked like loss will become the greatest testimony of your life. So lift your hands, dry your tears, and keep walking forward, because you are standing at the edge of fulfillment. The God who promised is faithful, and He will finish what He started in you. Right now, even while you wonder, even while you wait, even while you question how things will ever change, God is moving. Behind the scenes, what looks still to you is not still to Him. What feels silent to you is not silent to heaven. There are angels being dispatched, doors being aligned, and hearts being prepared for your arrival at the very place He has promised. The miracle you've been believing for may not have appeared yet in your timeline, but it is already in motion in God's. Every prayer you've prayed, every tear you've cried, every act of faith you've made has not gone unnoticed. God has seen your endurance, your trust, your willingness to keep walking when it would have been easier to quit, and He is about to honor your faith in a way that will leave no room for doubt. You see, God never forgets a seed of faith. Every yes you've given Him, every time you chose obedience over convenience, every time you praised Him through the pain, it all builds an invisible momentum in the spiritual realm. You may not see it building, but heaven keeps count. And when the appointed time comes, when all the pieces align, what once felt impossible will unfold before your eyes with divine precision. The delay will make sense, the detour will reveal its purpose, and the waiting will prove that nothing was wasted. The God who turned water into wine is still turning emptiness into abundance. The God who parted the Red Sea is still making a way through what looks impassable. The God who called Lazarus from the tomb is still speaking life into things you thought were dead. He hasn't changed. His power hasn't faded. His promises haven't expired. And right now, He is setting the stage for your testimony. The people who doubted you will have to witness what faith in a faithful God can do. The doors that were shut in your face will open, not because of your strength, but because of His favor. The very situations that once caused you to weep will become the proof of His goodness. God is about to turn your pain into purpose. He's going to take every disappointment and reshape it into direction. The things that broke you will become the very things that build you. Every scar will tell a story not of defeat, but of deliverance. You may have thought that what you lost disqualified you, but God will use what you lost as the foundation for your next level. What the enemy designed to destroy you will become the tool God uses to elevate you. The tears you cried in private will become the testimony you share in public. You must understand that God doesn't waste suffering. Every season has significance. The waiting birthed endurance. The silence taught you to listen. The delay refined your character. And now, because of everything you've endured, you're prepared to carry the blessing you once only dreamed of. The miracle is not just what God gives you. It's what He builds inside you in the process. The faith that has been tested will soon be rewarded. So don't mistake this moment as ordinary. Something divine is happening right now. Your miracle is not in the distant future. It's moving toward you even as you read these words. Heaven is shifting things in your favor. God is positioning opportunities, bringing people, and preparing places that you haven't even imagined yet. You are walking into a season of fulfillment, not by your might, not by your power, but by His Spirit. You will soon stand in the very place where you once prayed to be. You will hold in your hands what you once saw only in your dreams. And when it happens, you will know. It wasn't luck, it wasn't coincidence, it was the hand of God. He will turn your sorrow into laughter, your mourning into dancing, and your impossibility into undeniable reality. Get ready, because what's been moving in the unseen is about to manifest in your sight. The story is about to shift, and when it does, every eye will see that God was working all along. Right now, heaven is leaning in your direction. God is about to do something that will silence every doubt, answer every question, and prove that His promises never fail. You've been faithful in the shadows, consistent in the quiet, and steadfast when no one saw your struggle. You've carried your cross when others would have quit. You've sown tears into the ground of faith, and now harvest time is near. What once looked like a season of loss is about to turn into a season of laughter. What once felt like an endless night is about to break into dawn. The miracle isn't coming. It's already in motion. God is turning your pain into purpose, your tears into triumph, and your waiting into winning. The things that once seemed like setbacks were actually setups for divine elevation. Every time you were rejected, it wasn't because you were forgotten. It was because God was protecting you from places that could not handle the anointing on your life. Every time something was delayed, it wasn't a denial. It was God aligning something greater. You see, God doesn't always give you what you ask for. Sometimes He gives you what you would have asked for if you knew what He knows. There are moments in life when God hides what He's doing to build what you're becoming. You might have thought the silence meant abandonment, but it was actually preparation. You were not being punished, you were being positioned. The doors that closed were never meant to contain you. The people who walked away were necessary for your growth. You couldn't see it then, but now, as things begin to unfold, you'll realize every piece was part of the puzzle, and every detour was divine direction. You are entering a season where the things that once didn't make sense will begin to align. The opportunities you prayed for will begin to chase you. The favor you couldn't earn will begin to find you. The miracles you once imagined will begin to manifest around you. God is going to take what looked ordinary and make it extraordinary. The relationships that fell apart, the doors that slammed shut, the prayers that seemed unanswered, they were not wasted. God was saving your yes for a greater season, for a moment that would bring Him glory and bring you peace. When God turns the impossible into reality, it happens suddenly. One moment Joseph was a prisoner, the next he was a ruler. One moment Ruth was gleaning in the fields, the next she was owning them. One moment the disciples were fearful and hiding, the next they were filled with power and changing the world. That's how God works. He moves in moments, and your moment is coming. All the waiting, all the weeping, all the wondering, it will make sense in a single divine instant when heaven opens over your life. So, don't lose your confidence now. The same God who carried you through the valley is the same God who will crown you on the mountaintop. The faith that sustained you in the storm is the faith that will celebrate you in the sunshine. Every test you endured has qualified you for the testimony that's about to unfold. You are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are right on time according to God's eternal calendar. Lift your head and prepare your heart, because the season you've been praying for is about to collide with your present. God is about to open doors that were shut for years, heal wounds that you thought would never mend, and restore what the enemy tried to steal. You will look back on this chapter and say, it was all worth it. The tears, the delays, the confusion, it was all working for your good. What you thought was the end was only the turning point. So stand firm, child of God. Keep your praise alive, because your miracle is closer than your next breath. You are about to step into a reality that once lived only in your prayers. The God who called you, sustained you, and carried you is about to reward your faith openly. You will walk into rooms you once dreamed of. You will see promises fulfilled that you almost gave up on. The very thing that was impossible yesterday will be your testimony tomorrow. God is faithful, and your reality is about to prove it. Say it with me. What was impossible yesterday will be my reality tomorrow. What I have dreamed in faith, I will soon hold in my hands, because my God makes all things possible. My friend, there is power in the words you speak. There is creative force in your declaration of faith. Every time you speak life over your future, heaven takes notice. Every time you choose to proclaim victory instead of defeat, light begins to break through the darkness. God has given you a voice not only to describe your situation, but to shape it. What you speak by faith sets the direction of your life. When God created the heavens and the earth, He didn't think light into existence. He spoke it. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The same creative power that flowed from His mouth lives in you through the Spirit. When you open your mouth and speak God's promises instead of your problems, you begin to align your atmosphere with His authority. That's why the enemy wants to silence you with fear, with disappointment, with doubt, because he knows that your words carry the seed of breakthrough. The moment you stop speaking faith, the miracle stops moving. But the moment you start declaring what God said, every obstacle begins to shift. You have to start saying what you want to see, not what you currently see. Speak healing while the pain still lingers. Speak abundance while the bills are still due. Speak restoration while the relationship still seems broken. Speak victory while the battle still rages, because faith does not describe reality, it defines it. Every word you declare in faith plants a seed in the soil of the supernatural. Keep watering those seeds with prayer, with praise, with perseverance, and in due time they will bear fruit. Too often we cancel our own blessings with words of defeat. We pray for breakthrough and then speak as if God won't come through. We declare that He's faithful and then complain when the timeline doesn't match our desire. But your words reveal your faith. If you believe He is working, speak as though it's already done. Jesus said, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move,' and it will move." Notice He didn't say think or hope He said say Your mouth is the steering wheel of your destiny. Where your words go, your life will follow. When you begin to speak faith, you are not ignoring reality. You are introducing a greater one. The situation may not change instantly, but the atmosphere around you will. Fear will lose its grip, hope will rise again, and peace will return. Your declaration opens a pathway for God to move. It's as if heaven responds to the sound of belief. When you speak faith, angels are dispatched. When you speak gratitude, joy begins to overflow. When you speak promise, chains begin to break. So right now, lift your voice and begin to speak into your future. Say, "I am who God says I am. I am blessed, I am favored, I am chosen, I am equipped for every good work. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. My family will be restored. My health will be renewed. My destiny will be fulfilled. Everything God promised me will come to pass." Say it until your heart believes it. Say it until your circumstances bow to it. Say it until heaven confirms it. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are walking toward it with every word you speak in faith. The walls of Jericho fell not because of human strength, but because of divine sound. The moment the people shouted, the barriers collapsed. Your shout of faith can do the same. There is a sound that breaks strongholds, a sound that shakes heaven, a sound that tells the enemy his time is up. That sound is your voice, filled with belief, anchored in God's promise. So as you walk out of this moment, keep declaring it. What was impossible yesterday will be my reality tomorrow. Let it echo in your heart, in your home, and in your spirit. Let your words build a bridge between your present and your promise. God is watching over every word of faith that leaves your mouth, and He will perform it. You will see what you have said, you will hold what you have hoped for, and you will testify that your God truly makes all things possible. Lift your head, beloved. Stand firm and prepare to receive the fullness of what God has promised. You have prayed, you have waited, you have believed, and now the time is at hand. The breakthrough you've longed for, the miracle you've prayed for, and the change you've hoped for are all converging right now. You may not see every detail yet, but heaven is orchestrating it perfectly. The hand that holds the universe is guiding your steps. The God who never fails is about to fulfill His word in your life. Nothing can stop what He has decreed. Every delay, every setback, every disappointment has been preparing you for this moment. You may have thought that your prayers were going unanswered, but in reality, they were being lined up in heaven, being multiplied, and being readied for manifestation. God's timing is perfect, and His ways are higher than ours. He has never forgotten you, and He has never abandoned you. Even when the world said no, or it's impossible, God was saying, yes, I am working. Yes, it is coming. Yes, your miracle is on its way. Don't underestimate the power of persistence in faith. Every tear you have cried, every prayer you have whispered in secret, every act of obedience has not gone unnoticed. They are the invisible threads weaving your victory. God uses the faithful, the patient, and the steadfast to bring forth His glory. You have been positioned by Him for this season. You are not a coincidence in your own life. You are divinely placed for divine fulfillment. What you see as delays are actually God's perfect arrangements, aligning every piece of your life to bring about a miraculous outcome. Right now, as you stand at the edge of your breakthrough, remember this: the enemy wants you to doubt, to question, and to give up. But you are not here by accident. You are here because God has a purpose, a plan, and a promise for you that cannot be stopped. Your past struggles, your current obstacles, and your lingering fears are all about to be turned into testimonies of God's faithfulness. What the enemy meant for harm, God is about to turn for your good. Your weakness is about to become your strength. Your sorrow is about to become joy, and your impossibility is about to become reality. Imagine for a moment the doors that were long closed swinging wide open for you. Picture the relationships that were broken being restored. See the finances that seemed impossible flowing into your life. Visualize the peace, the healing, the favor, and the abundance that God has been preparing for you. This is not wishful thinking. This is faith speaking into existence the promises of God. Your vision aligns with His word, and when that happens, nothing can stand in the way of your breakthrough. Now is the time to step boldly into what God has prepared. Lift your hands, lift your voice, and lift your heart. Declare with confidence that the impossible is now becoming your reality. Speak over yourself, over your family, over your finances, and over your destiny, and let your words echo the faith that God has placed within you. As you do this, the supernatural begins to respond, heaven begins to move, angels begin to align circumstances, open doors, and prepare pathways that you cannot yet see. This is your moment. The season of waiting is over. The time of breakthrough is here. You are about to witness the promises of God unfold in ways that will leave no room for doubt. Stand firm, believe without wavering, and give God all the glory before you even see the miracle. When it manifests, it will be undeniable, unmistakable, and undeniable proof that your God never fails. He is faithful, He is mighty, and He is about to show Himself strong on your behalf, so rise up in faith. Walk boldly into your destiny, speak life over your circumstances, expect miracles, praise Him in advance. Your reality is changing, your season is turning, and the impossible is becoming possible. God is about to move, and you will never be the same again. This is your testimony in the making, your miracle in motion, and your victory on the horizon. The wait is over, and the promise is about to be fulfilled. Stand ready, because God is about to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or imagine. You are standing at the threshold of a new season, a season that God has been preparing just for you. Everything you have been through, the trials, the tears, the waiting, the prayers, the disappointments, was never wasted. Every step, every moment of faith, every act of obedience has brought you to this point. God is about to move in your life in a way that will make every struggle, every delay, and every setback make perfect sense. What seemed impossible before is now being shaped into reality, and you are about to witness the fulfillment of promises that have been written in heaven long before you were born. The power of God is at work even when you cannot see it. His Spirit is moving behind the scenes, arranging circumstances, opening doors, and preparing people who will bring the breakthrough to pass. Every situation that looked hopeless is being transformed into opportunity. Every closed door is being prepared to swing wide open. The invisible hand of God is orchestrating your victory in perfect timing. What the enemy meant for harm, God is turning for your good. What seemed like the end is actually the beginning of a divine season of triumph. Faith is the key that unlocks what is already prepared in heaven. You do not need to understand every detail or know every step. All you need is the confidence that God is faithful to His word. The same God who parted seas, healed the sick, and raised the dead is at work in your life today. You have to believe it, see it in your heart, and speak it with your mouth. The miracle may not be visible yet, but it is already in motion. Your declaration of faith is the bridge between your current reality and the miracle God has promised. Do not allow fear or doubt to steal your victory. The enemy will try to whisper that it is too late, that it is impossible, that God has forgotten you. Reject those lies. Stand firm in the promises of God. Speak life over your situation. Speak healing over your body. Speak restoration over your relationships. Speak provision over your finances. Speak success over your endeavors. When you do this, you are aligning yourself with God's power, and His Spirit will move on your behalf. The breakthrough will come, and it will be unmistakable. God often works in ways that surpass human understanding. What seems delayed to you is often perfectly timed by Him. What appears impossible is often the stage for His glory to be revealed. Your patience, your perseverance, and your unwavering faith are being rewarded even now. The waiting period was never a punishment, it was a preparation. God was equipping you, positioning you, and refining you so that when the breakthrough arrives, you would be ready to receive it fully. The miracle that is coming will not only change your life, but will also impact those around you. Your testimony will inspire others to trust God, to believe in His promises, and to hold on through their own seasons of waiting. God uses your story to bring hope and encouragement to others. The victory that you experience will be a living proof of His power, faithfulness, and love. So hold on with unwavering faith. Keep your heart and mind fixed on God. Keep praising Him even before the miracle manifests. Speak His promises over your life with boldness and conviction. The breakthrough is not a distant hope, it is imminent. The impossible is being turned into reality. Every chain, every obstacle, every delay is being broken. Your miracle is on the way, and when it arrives, it will be undeniable. God is faithful, God is mighty, and God is about to show himself strong on your behalf. Stand ready, because the impossible is about to become your testimony, your victory, and your reality.